2GR.
Hey everybody, welcome to our E3 2018 preview for Bethesda's press conference. I'm Sean, this is Rudy, This is Matt. We've got about 7 different titles that we're going to talk about today. Some of these games have been announced, some of these games are unannounced but very likely to appear, and some of these are just straight up dreams and probably are not going to happen, but we thought it'd be fun to talk about them anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each game on the list, have a little discussion, and then we're going to say, is this game worth getting hyped about if it shows up at Bethesda's press conference? And we're kicking things off with a dream, The Elder Scrolls 6.
That's like, let's just toss the table, man. Like,
How many years has it been since Skyrim?
Skyrim came out on November 11th, 2011.
Wow.
So 7-point-something years.
I feel old because that still feels recent.
I know.
That's because they keep re-releasing it.
I was just about to say that. Is that like 7? That's how many re-releases they've had?
Yeah.
Actually,
it's more than
Skyrim
that.
showed up in 3 or 4 press conferences last year because of the VR and the Switch and the
Switch,
blah, 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 the HD
I mean,
remaster.
when Skyrim came out, I'm pretty sure that, like, Elder Scrolls Online, the MMO, was still just a wet dream for a bunch of nerds who were like, why wouldn't you make it an online MMORPG? It's the perfect thing. Like, ZeniMax hadn't even, like, announced it yet. So, I mean, I have always preferred Elder Scrolls to Fallout.
Yeah.
Maybe, which is funny because for me, like, the theme would be more Fallout, but for some reason it just works better as a franchise for Elder Scrolls. I mean, I think I put, like, 120 hours into the original. And that's without any sort of modded or to the initial release of Skyrim. I didn't really mod it or anything. I'd be freaking hyped. I mean, it's Elder Scrolls. Like, I loved Oblivion. I loved Skyrim. I wasn't a big Morrowind guy, which I know people love, but I was maybe a little young for that. Be super hyped.
I would be shocked. I don't think I would have words if this game showed up because of other games we'll talk about on this list. Like, I don't think anybody's anticipating this.
Well, also, they would have kept it such a ridiculous secret.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell could they keep it from being...
Well, and I mean, they've said, don't expect it anytime soon. We've got 2 more games that we want to do before we get to Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
This is potentially the end of the next generation before we see it. Unless they've been pulling our legs and they're about ready to drop a bomb. And I don't mean the Fallout kind. That was a little Bethesda joke there for you.
That's a little dad joke there for you.
Dad jokes for the win. I'd be stoked, man. I honestly, that would blow me out of the water. Skyrim was so much fun. I'm willing to buy it again on the Switch. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think
that's why they're not going to release it, because they know everybody's still buying Skyrim.
Yeah, they released the one on PS4 and Xbox. No, like.
Oh yeah, I bought it.
Yeah,
I got it right over there.
And then, so here's the thing. They finally did what they could never do before, which was they brought the PC modding community that made it so popular to console. And that was huge because what has Bethesda always done so well with RPGs? They created toy boxes that might be very broken, and then they let everybody else go, like, add their own content to it. And there's so much content. Like, if you go on... I feel like Nexus exists purely because of Bethesda games. Like, I've downloaded other mods on there, but I feel like 90% of it's, like, Skyrim content.
Right.
It's like, you want Thomas the Tank Engine?
Exactly. I was just thinking, choo-choo.
Go where you want, like, My Little Pony. Like, come on, man. Like, giant exploding chickens and cheese raining from the sky and RTS, like, versions where you can spawn in 50 of all the different mobs and have them fight each other. And it's just... It's like Gary's mod, but like a game that actually has a game, So, yeah. I mean, I would love to see it. Although, they've really got to get their tech up to snuff.
The Bethesda glitches, yeah. Classic bugs.
Fallout 4 looked like it was supposed to be.
Yeah. So, we'll move on, but yeah, if that shows up, that would be the story of the conference, if that showed up. But, but there's other stories at the conference. There's some alternatives. We'll get to there. Next up is a game I think it's got its following, but it's going to have some challenges just because of the landscape of gaming, and that's Quake Champions, Bethesda's hero shooter. I agree.
What's funny is it's not even a densely packed field right now. It's not like they're trying to get in a dense market. I heard that used to describe Lawbringer's struggles recently. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was too dense a market. I'm like, I don't think it was that dense.
Yeah.
I think there's just 2 people that were destroying it. I mean, Overwatch is a phenomenon, beyond excellent, and then you've got Battle Royale scooping up everybody else. You know, now it's like Quake just isn't the name it used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the good old days. I'm sure you guys do.
Yeah.
I haven't even really seen a lot of the footage from it. I don't know. It just seems like a.
Yeah, I think Bethesda knows that too.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not excited at all. If they showed that, I'd be like, oh well, on to the next thing.
It would be really nice if they didn't show it. That's how I would agree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Of course they're going to show it. They got to try to generate hype for their game. And like I said, it's got its niche, but
kind of feels like Paragon from Unreal to me, which obviously just went down recently because Fortnite is like printing money for them. It feels like it's in that range where it's like, well, this is a little late to the game, and it's like a slight tweak on something that's already so successful, and it lacks any of the flavor.
I think they know that. They're going to give it a very quiet, here, look at this, for those of you that want it, but let's move on.
Yeah.
Prey DLC. It'd be really great to get a sequel, but it's too soon. It's only been a year since the game came out. But
I don't even know how you...
Or maybe...
Spoilers, but I don't know how you do a sequel to that game.
Maybe not DLC, or, well... There's ways, but maybe like an expansion.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Like a standalone Prey expansion.
That'd be cool.
Like a 10-hour little romp.
Which has become a big thing as of late.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting like standalone expansion content. I would absolutely be hyped. I don't think Prey got it's just like people didn't. It was just kind of like there. People were excited when it got announced, but it didn't seem to do... I mean, it got well-reviewed, but not great. It wasn't in the Game of the Year conversation for most people.
Unfortunately.
I loved that game. Like, I thought it was great. As a spiritual successor to System Shock and Bioshock, it was phenomenal. The ending was a little...
Yeah, the story had its challenges, but
it played super well. I mean, if they were like, hey, we're going to give you another 10 hours of Prey, I'd be like, yeah, I'll go replay it and play the DLC right now. I'd even play like an adjacent parallel universe sequel if they decided to announce that. But you're right, it's too early. So
I think you're right about it got buried last year. There were too many good games last year that... Too many close to 10 out of 10s, like 9s and 10s. And Prey, unfortunately, didn't quite live up to that, so it got forgotten in the conversation. But if it had come out the year before, this year, I think it might have nudged its way at least into the top 5 somewhere.
Yeah. Well,
we'll find out the rest of this year what's coming out. But
if Dragon Age Inquisition could win Game of the
Year,
Prey could absolutely
win. Prey was a much better game.
Would have won Game of the Year
for
Dragon
sure.
Age came out, if you ask me. So, I mean, you're a big Shock fan. Like, you played all the Shock. Well,
Bioshock 1, 2, Infinite, all that jazz. I still think that Infinite is a great game.
Agreed.
Just saying. I know Onyx
is
dude,
not here, so good for him.
But no, honestly, Prey, dude.
You can borrow it and take it home.
I will gladly take it
home. There you go. Building hype right there. See, that's how you do it at E3. You get people to play the games. You get hyped.
Oh,
honestly,
dude.
I need to replay that game. You can play that game so many different ways.
Yeah.
And I have not gone through and like changed up from my sort of gun-toting focus that I played the first time. I should replay it.
You should. I mean, it's one of those things that like I played the demo and like I replayed it a couple times, and every time you could always just switch it up. I love games like that, man.
In the absence of Bioshock, Prey is definitely worth getting into.
And we're not getting a Bioshock announcement.
Probably not.
There's no way.
This next game, okay, the funny story with this is Walmart had a big leak, Walmart Canada. They showed a bunch of games on their storefront page. One of them was Rage 2, a sequel to a game that hasn't been around for a while. It just out of nowhere, and it's like, wait, what? They're actually making a sequel to this? No. But how could Walmart make something like that up? And sure enough, Bethesda played with them for a little bit on Twitter before, okay, here you go. Here's an announcement trailer. It was all live action, so we still don't know what the game looks like. Yeah. But big deal.
Yeah.
Surprise.
It's been a long time. And Rage was a notoriously expensive flop, as I recall. It was like built on the Doom 3 engine, but it was after. It was like later on, and it looked kind of pretty. It was like post-apocalyptic. It was before open world was just totally accepted, and it was. I mean, I remember it being kind of underwhelming. So, you know what this makes me think of? Is it Dead Island 2 that got announced a couple of years
and
ago.
then didn't come out.
And then it was just like the trailer looked interesting. It was a huge departure because I think it was a new studio working on it.
Yeah, I don't think it ever actually came out.
Because the Dead Island guys were working on.
You played it. You have it.
Dying Light. Was it Dying Light?
I think it was Dying Light.
Dying Light, yeah, which
Dying
was
Light.
their spiritual successor,
Yes.
which was actually pretty good.
Yes,
had all the parkour
it
stuff.
was.
So somebody else took over, and they were like, "Let's do something new with it." And I remember that trailer. I was like, "Oh, that looks kind of fun," and we never got. And it had no gameplay. It was just like a cinematic.
Right.
And I'm sitting here looking at this Rage 2 trailer, and I'm like, I mean, that won't happen to this. They've obviously invested. Bethesda doesn't do that.
Right.
But the trailer just ticked that switch. I was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
We got to see gameplay. They're keeping that back for E3. I think they were good sports. They're like, okay, you ruined an announcement. It's coming, but you got to wait till E3 to see it.
I hope I would like to see it be ridiculous. And, from what people have seen of the trailer, there's a lot of hope that it's like Mad Max and Borderlands-y. You know? Which, actually, if I'm not mistaken, the developer is the guys who did the Mad Max game.
No kidding.
I'm pretty sure a bunch of the guys who worked on the Mad Max open world game worked on this. I swear I read that.
And that did ago. That got very well. It was very well received, well reviewed.
So, I mean, right genre for it. I don't know. I'm a little excited. I think because it's the most unique thing on this list. Mm-hmm. We just talked about Elder Scrolls and Fall. Like for Bethesda, I'd be like, cool. So
I think it'd be awesome. I'm stoked.
This next game is very likely to get announced, or it's very heavily rumored to be announced. Big deal, Doom 2. Doom was such a great success story. People were scared because of the reviews being released the day before. It was like, oh, this game's not going to be so good. Turned out to be fantastic. People were saying it revitalized the first-person shooter campaign piece. Like, it was really good. It looked good. It sounded good. It was so twitchy and fun.
Yeah. It's funny if
choo, I'm all in.
If they re-released Doom with a good online multiplayer, because the multiplayer was weak. It was very weak.
Granted. If
they just did that with like new levels and it was the exact same engine, that game looks gorgeous.
Yep.
It was the first thing to run the Vulkan API where it was like 350 frames per second. Like no joke. It was easy. You need to play that game. Holy crap.
You can borrow that one too.
It's on my list.
Take Doom and Prey with home with you tonight.
Rudy plays a lot of games, by the way.
Yeah, I do. It's just time constraints.
I would be.
Get it on the Switch.
So hyped.
That's where I'm.
There you go.
I'm planning on getting it on the Switch.
I
For sure.
I don't even know what else you say about it. Like, it's just Doom.
They don't even really need to show anything. Like you said, if it's just more of the same,
well, that's what
I'm in. It's great. It was so much fun.
It would basically be Doom 2 to the original Doom back in the day, which was the same thing, just with new content. Really, it was almost like a glorified expansion.
Exactly.
Which is fine because this new Doom was, they had gone so far off the rails with Doom 3, and it was a horror game, and it was. I loved it. I really enjoyed Doom 3. But this was like, we're going back. Like, this is old school Doom. It's violent. It's fast. It's fun. Just crazy. It's fun. Like, this is not Call of Duty. There's no iron sights. Yeah, so.
I'm definitely getting it.
You played the beta, didn't you? Or the demo?
So, funny story. I actually bought it on Black Friday. And I popped it open. I played like a little tiny bit.
I was going to say, I thought you played it.
And then I ended up giving it to my my sister's boyfriend.
Okay.
Because I was like, well, I can't play this in front of my 2-year-old.
Yeah,
so I was
that's
like,
true.
But now with the Switch, I can hide in a corner on the couch and totally play.
There you go.
So I'm definitely stoked for that. If they announce Doom 2, more power to them. Cool. I think it's going to be cool.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a 3-year-old learning what the sound of like wet, partially crunched skull meat, like slapping against an LCD screen sounds like repeatedly.
Let's move on. We got 2 more games. Now this game is probably would be an alternative to the Elder Scrolls 6. Ain't happening. This would be a Fallout game. We have Fallout spin-off here. So it could be something totally new in the Fallout franchise, not Fallout 5. I don't think they're ready for that. But maybe like a Fallout New Vegas style game, or maybe New Vegas 2. There was some rumors online about, is this actually going to be... Could they be doing New Vegas 2?
Do they own Obsidian?
I don't think so. No, Obsidian's doing...
Wait, because who was the original Fallout developer? 1 and 2.
Let us know, Internet. I thought it was Obsidian.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was part of why I thought New Vegas was such a big thing, was like, hey, they came back and made a game, and it was better than 3 even, and 3 was so beloved, but...
Yeah, Obsidian went off to do, and I'm just going to screw this up, but like one of those Pillar of Eternity games or something like that, or...
yeah, well, that's...
somewhere over in there. It was one of those more like traditional Fallout...
then they're still killing it, because Pillar of Eternity 2 just came out, and that game is...
I'm not sure if that actually was them.
Like
Internet will correct
across
us.
The boards, but yeah. So there's my caveat. If it was an Obsidian developed Fallout spinoff, hell yeah, I would be hyped. If it's another Bethesda game, I could not be less excited about another Fallout. Like 4 was such a disappointment to me.
It was. It wasn't 3.
No.
Even by today's standards, I thought 3 was really good.
Yeah.
4. I think the whole base building mechanic, the amount of time and development time they put into making that work, had they gotten rid of that and just focused that into other things, would have made the game.
Bro.
That's exactly
literally what it is. Fallout Sims. I booted it up and I was playing it, and Marta walked in and was like, "Oh, it's like Sims 4." I was like, and I agree that if it's of the same caliber, it doesn't have to be Obsidian, but if it's of the same caliber as New Vegas, I'm in. Yeah. 110%, because New Vegas was freaking awesome.
Fallout needs, like, Fallout 1 and 2 were so good because even though you could still go play those games and the gameplay is just god-awful, but it's one of those things where there's bad situations in a post-apocalyptic world where things go wrong and there's nothing you can do. When you get an RPG that gives you 3 bad choices and you have to take one of the bad choices and there's no way around it, or you decide to play a certain way and you're locked into playing that way. Like the original Fallout games, you could have you could literally play through those games without being able to speak. You could have an intelligence so low that you weren't able to, you spoke gibberish to people. Like that kind of interesting construct doesn't exist currently. So yeah, I would love to see that come back to a full 3D Fallout. Like tone it down, scope it in, and then but that won't happen. So no hype.
So we'll go on. The last game on this list is of the Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and this title. The internet believes this final title is the most likely to be announced. It's a game called Starfall. So for those of you that don't know, Starfall would be the third pillar in the Fallout Elder Scrolls style of game developed by Bethesda. It would basically be Elder Scrolls Fallout in space. And the reason why this has a name and it's a thing is, I believe, in Fallout 4, maybe one of the other Bethesda games, there's posters around the world that talk about this thing called Starfall. And Bethesda's known for, or has been known for, hiding future titles in their games that they are currently releasing to give hints as to what's to come. And this would line up with statements from Bethesda that they've wanted to work on a new IP, something totally different and new. Maybe not necessarily different in the sense that it's not like Elder Scrolls or Fallout, but
What I just had the funniest thought. What if it was still a Fallout spin-off tie-in where
Fallout Starfall,
instead of going into a vault, a group had launched themselves into
space.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. Because I'm thinking about the art style and everything, and I feel like that'd be perfect.
It'd be interesting.
If it had that Mass Effect sort of sci-fi vibe, but using the Fallout Elder Scrolls.
I'm thinking the Jetsons.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, then you're right. That's what, if it was the Fallout Jetsons universe, then it would be.
It needs
more like Jetsons type.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day,
that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Bethesda making
with guts and skull cracking. Sure.
Them making a sci-fi RPG, yes, it sounds intriguing, but if it's made on the same laggy engine, it's just they're lagging behind technically, and I need them to be more up to date. Also, I mean, I can't be the only one here who every time I hear blah 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 in space or blah 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 sci-fi game gets excited because I love the ideas and I'm always like, yes, there's infinite universe.
Leprechauns in space.
Yeah, and then
the movie
sold.
I play that game. It's been burned by that. Like how many times? There's too much sci-fi is a domineering force in gameplay right now. I think there's more of that than there is fantasy at the moment, and so much of it turns out to just be drivel. So, I mean, not to...
Bethesda's got its technical problems, and Fallout 4 was somewhat of a disappointment, but I think if they're putting time into a new IP.
I'd be excited.
And I think that their developers would feel refreshed. They're doing something new, so there's more
Love.
More
Emphasis, enthusiasm.
Yeah, passion, if you
There you
will.
go.
That was the word. Finally got it out. Thank you. You know, that I think would come across where maybe Fallout 4, it was just like, well, we're getting used to the new system hardware, having come off of the legacy non-computer based stuff,
but like at the end of the day, man, it doesn't matter as long as it's fully baked. That's all I want.
It's got to be fully baked.
It's got to be fully baked, because if you give me something and it's not fully baked, I don't want a buggy mess. That's like, I want to buy a game, invest into it, and get it to where all right, cool, I can actually play this and I can actually enjoy it, and I don't want, game-breaking bugs to be built into it.
Or if you're going to make your specialty the whole toy box thing, the Zelda Breath of the Wild thing, then you need to do it to that level.
Right.
Oh, yeah. It's a great example.
It's fine if it has a 6 for a story, if it is outstanding in every other aspect.
Yep.
Yeah.
They have not done a good job of that, and now we've seen somebody else do it.
Right.
So, yeah, I would be excited purely by the fact that it's a space RPG. So.
Oh, yeah.
And Bethesda, look, they've got enough good equity that Fallout hasn't ruined them for me.
Oh, no.
No, not at all.
It wasn't a bad game. It just wasn't as good as
it was a
we
solid
hoped.
7.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I
I'd
agree.
be hyped. Maybe not as much as for Doom 2.
Well, so looking at this list, if we go back, and I know we weren't for each of these necessarily
No.
saying hype or not, but it sounds like in general, other than maybe Quake Champions, there's varying levels of hype for all of these games.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, for
totally.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to tune in for Bethesda's press conference, even though it's really late at night.
They've done a
They're
good job
good.
since they started doing their own press conferences.
They actually have.
They have not
They've been
had a bad
surprising.
year.
They've not had a bad year, I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their speed of release on sequels has been impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, check in Bethesda. Definitely want to watch that press conference. Be sure to stay tuned. We've got more E3 2018 previews coming up. We're going to be reacting to this press conference and the others, so check out our reactions for that. And let us know. Let us know what you're hyped for. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that Bethesda could show up with that you're hyped for? Is there anything we talked about that you're like, guys, that game's going to suck? Or Quake Champions is going to be the best game. What the hell are you talking about? Let us know. Love to hear from you.
Yeah.
So, cool. All right. Catch you next time, guys.
Later.
see you.
Like what you saw? Check out some of our other videos and be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest content. Thanks for your support and thanks for watching.